Good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's focus for Saturday, July the 29th, 2023 at 10:43 a.m. Central Time. Now, I want you to imagine the following. We get in an airplane. We fly to Jerusalem. And we fly to Jerusalem to, participate in the day Tisha B'Av. Tisha B'Av, or Tish Above, depending on how you want to say it, Tisha B'Av. Now, this is the day that marks the destruction of the two temples in Jerusalem. In Jerusalem, if I can speak correctly. So we get on an airplane, we fly to Jerusalem, we're there for Tisha B'Av. We're there to remember the two temples of Jerusalem being destroyed. And as we're there in Jerusalem for Tisha B'Av, we are walking along the southern wall of the Temple Mount. All right? So we're in Jerusalem, Tisha B'Av, the day to remember the destruction of the two temples in Jerusalem. We're walking along the southern wall of the Temple Mount when all of a sudden we see a fox. All of a sudden we see a fox along the southern wall of the Temple Mount. How do you react? What is your reaction? Is your first reaction is, let me grab my phone and get a video for this so I can post it on social media. Let me grab some pictures so I can send it back to my family saying, look, we saw a fox along the southern wall of the Temple Mount. What if you showed it to some rabbis there in Jerusalem and all of a sudden they got all excited? And what if they were to look at you and go, this is a fulfillment of biblical prophecy? Would you know what they're talking about? Would you go, wait, it is? What prophecy? What prophecy was possibly fulfilled? Have you seen this news story? Because it's actually a news story from the Jerusalem Post. The Jerusalem Post published a story with this headline: Fox spotted along walls of Temple Mount sparks talk of prophecy. I'm like, a fox? Temple Mount, prophecy. So I started just trying to figure out what prophecy, what prophecy? Am I missing something? What prophecy would be about a fox along the southern wall or near the wall of the Temple Mount? Like what prophecy? So I just started thinking of every scripture I could imagine that possibly dealt with, maybe future prophecies of the Temple Mount or the temple or that area. And I started thinking, well, I don't know. I could not get one to come to my mind. Maybe right there, you may be sitting there going, well, obviously it's from the book of, you may know, but I'm just going to be honest with you. Full transparency. I was more worried about how to pronounce Tisha B'Av. I was more worried about Tisha B'Av. I think I know what I think I know what that is. Okay. I'm like, that's the day that marks the destruction of the two two temples in Jerusalem. Okay. I was more worried about that. Okay. I'm like, and if I do a podcast about this, how do I say Tisha B'Av? I was more worried about that, but because I'd already given up really quick on what prophecy. So let's read a little bit of this story. Again, it comes to us from the Jerusalem Post. It was published on July the 27th, 2023. All right, here we go. This is I'm just going to read everything here. The headline: Fox spotted along walls of Temple Mount sparks talk of prophecy. This isn't the first time in recent years that foxes have been spotted near the walls of the Temple Mount. So not only did obviously a fox was spotted along the walls of the Temple Mount, this is not the first time. So does that mean the prophecy has already been fulfilled? Is this a continuing fulfillment of the prophecy? How many foxes are supposed to appear? What is going on? Well, let's see. Let's do a little bit of this. Let's read a little bit of this. A fox was spotted along the southern wall of the Temple Mount on Wednesday night as Tisha B'Av, the day when the two temples of Jerusalem were destroyed, was marked. The sighting of the fox went viral, with social media users saying the sighting was a sign of a prophecy coming true. Oh boy. Now, I don't know if I would get my Bible prophecy fulfillment from social media users. Sorry to say that. I don't know. Anytime you see people talking about doctrine or theology in some of those settings, it's sometimes questionable, but I digress. Maybe that's not fair. Maybe that's being a little too unkind, but okay. So then right underneath that, they have a TikTok video. Obviously, it's taken somewhere near the southern wall of the Temple Mount. And ladies and gentlemen, there's a fox. Okay. And it went viral, right? So obviously, if it went viral, I don't know what the exact number it has to be before you consider it to be viral. But hey, something is going on here. Let's see if we get some more interesting information here. The social media user were referencing a story, and then it's where these rabbis, let's see how many, 1, 2, 3, I think 4 rabbis visited the site of the destroyed second temple. All right, so I think it's 4 rabbis. All right, they go there. When the rabbis, the site's refreshing on me. Okay, there's the video of the fox taking off running. All right, when the rabbis arrived at the site, they saw a fox emerging from the site of the Holy of Holies, supposedly, I guess where they think the Holy of Holies were, and began weeping. Although one of the rabbis began laughing. The rabbis asked why he was laughing as a fox walked in a site about which the Torah wrote, and the non-priest who approaches shall die. This rabbi responded, the appearance of the fox coincided with the prophecy given by the prophet Uriah, in which he stated, and I quote, "Therefore, for your sake, Zion shall be plowed as a field, and Jerusalem shall become rubble, and the Temple Mount as the high place of a forest, where foxes are found." That's a supposed prophecy. Now, let me read it to you again, all right? Now, so according to this one rabbi, the appearance of the fox coincided with the prophecy he claims was given by the prophet Uriah, in which he stated, and let me quote it again, "Therefore, for your sake, Zion shall be plowed as a field, and Jerusalem shall become rubble, and the Temple Mount as the high places of a forest where the foxes are found." Now, they're saying that's... I'm having a hard time. I'm trying to follow the logic here. Now, we still got to look at where this prophecy supposedly is found, but I'm just trying to find the logic there, right? Because basically the prophecy seems to be saying, hey, the temple's going to be destroyed. Things are going to be destroyed and everything's going to basically become like a forest and where foxes roam. Well, okay, that would have been, to me, what happened maybe during the first time the temple was destroyed or the second time. I mean, I don't know if that would apply so much today where it's going to be like a forest. Jerusalem has a population of like, 700,000 people. I don't even know. I don't even know the exact population. It's a lot of people. So I don't know if you would say it's like a forest today. Oh, but there's a fox. Isn't it just simply saying that the temple was going to be destroyed and that the area would basically be abandoned at least at that time? Let me read the prophecy supposedly again. I'm just having a hard time following this. And why would this go viral? Sometimes when it comes to the Bible and theology and the things people get so worked up about, and sometimes I'm just baffled. But let me read this again. Here we go. So according to this rabbi, he responded that the appearance of the fox coincided with a prophecy supposedly given by the prophet Uriah, in which he stated, and I quote, "Therefore, for your sake, Zion shall be plowed as a field, and Jerusalem shall become rubble, and the Temple Mount as the high places of a forest." So basically, everything's going to be destroyed. It's going to become like a forest. It's going to be abandoned. And then they have where foxes are found. Well, of course, where foxes are found. I'm assuming that prophecy was fulfilled a long time ago, after the destruction of the first temple and in 70 AD at the destruction of the second temple. I don't know if like, oh, we see a fox in 2023. The prophecy has been fulfilled. Wouldn't the prophecy have been fulfilled when it was originally destroyed and basically abandoned? And then it would have been like a forest. And as it says, Jerusalem shall be plowed as a field. Well, clearly Jerusalem is not plowed as a field currently. It's a city, right? 700,000 people plus. So I wouldn't this have been fulfilled in the past? Like, why would you be looking for a future fulfillment for this? Why would a fox now going, oh, this is a fulfillment? Now, this prophecy supposedly appears, according to the Jerusalem Post, in Micah chapter 3, verse 12. Supposedly in Micah chapter 3, verse 12. Micah chapter 3, verse 12. Let's read it. Micah chapter 3, verse 12. Here we go. I'm trying to follow this logic. I mean, hey, we got a video that goes viral. We have a news article in the Jerusalem Post. And I'm just telling you, my whole feeling about this is I'm one that's just I'm baffled, perplexed by the whole thing. I'm like, of all the things dealing with Bible and prophecy and theology that people should be talking about, I don't know it's this, but okay. If everybody wants to talk about a fox and the Temple Mount, let's talk about it. All right. So here we go. Micah chapter 3, verse 12. Now I'm going to read it from the King James. Now remember, in the way the rabbi quoted it, it has the phrase where foxes are found. Now, I'm going to read it from the King James. You may notice something here. Therefore, shall Zion for your sake be plowed as a field, and Jerusalem shall become heaps, and the mountain of the house as the high place of the forest. There's nothing about foxes there. Nothing about foxes there. Not even nothing. There's just nothing. I'm going to reach over and grab another Bible. Okay. In fact, I'm going to grab two Bibles. I'm going to grab this one because it's a completely different translation. Let's see if they add foxes here. If they add foxes, where are the foxes coming from? What is the rabbi quoting from, and is there some major issue here that we need to be familiar with? Is this a Septuagint type thing? What's going on here? Let's just see what we can find. Micah 3:12. All right, this is Micah 3:12. This is from the Christian Standard Bible. I just happen to have it sitting here on the table. Therefore, because of you, Zion will be plowed like a field, Jerusalem will become ruins, and the Temple Mount will be a high thicket. Okay, nothing about foxes. All right. I'm going to go to this Bible only to see if they have a study note here, because it's a study Bible. And nothing. Okay, they don't say anything about foxes or anything other than it's a prophecy of the destruction of the temple. Okay, so I went to BibleHub.com. I pulled up every English translation I could find on earth. Okay, here we go. I'm going to go through them. New International Version. Therefore, because of you, Zion will be plowed like a field. Jerusalem will become a heap of rubble. The Temple Hill, a mound overgrown with thickets. Okay, and again, now if you're going to say that this is somehow fulfilled because foxes are supposedly mentioned, you still have the rest of this. Obviously, the Temple Hill is not a mound overgrown with thickets anymore. People visit that area. There's a mosque. You got all this stuff going on there. None of that is just true today. Jerusalem is not a heap of rubble today. All right. So this would have been fulfilled either with the first destruction. Well, you would have to look at when Micah was written. Which destruction is that referring to? Is that referring to the destruction coming in 70 AD? You could do a little work on that if you want to today, because this is today's focus. I'm not supposed to give you all the answers. Which destruction of the temple is Micah 3:12 referencing? There you go. That's your today's focus. What destruction of Jerusalem and the temple is Micah 3:12 referencing? And if it's referencing the one in 70 AD, then ladies and gentlemen, it was fulfilled in 70 AD. And you don't look for something here to try to go, wait, we saw a fox. Now I don't even understand that. All right, I'm going to keep Reading New Living Translation. Because of you, Mount Zion will be plowed like an open field. Jerusalem will be reduced to ruins. A thicket will grow on the heights where the temple now stands. Again, none of these mention a fox. ESV, therefore, because of you, Zion shall be plowed as a field. Jerusalem shall become a heap of ruins, and the mountain of a house a wooded height. Berean Standard Bible, therefore, because of you, Zion will be plowed like a field. Jerusalem will become a heap of rubble, and the temple mount a wooded ridge. King James Bible, which we've already read, therefore shall Zion for your sake be plowed as a field. Jerusalem shall become heaps, and the mountain of the house as the high place of the forest. New King James Version. Therefore, because of you, Zion shall be plowed like a field. Jerusalem shall become heaps of ruins, and the mountain of the temple like the bare hills of the forest. All right. So I'm just going through all of them. Okay. So far we looked at the New International, New Living, ESV, Berean, King James, New American Standard. I can just go through all of these. I'm not going to read every single one to you, but I do not believe I'm making very sure. I'm making absolute. Okay. I'm looking at the Aramaic Bible in plain English. I'm looking at the Brenton Septuagint translation. Okay, the Septuagint translation does not even mention foxes. The Septuagint translation is, therefore, on your account, Zion shall be plowed as a field, Jerusalem shall be as a storehouse of fruits, and the mountain of the house as a grove of the forest. Let's see here. I don't even, not one translation mentions a fox. I can't find one translation. So I have no idea where this is coming from. All right? No idea. All right. Now, there is a rabbinic, just so that you know, even though the prophecy appears in Micah chapter 3, verse 12, there's a rabbinic tradition that it was prophesied by Uriah and not Micah. Okay. We could have a whole discussion about there. Whoever gave the prophecy in Micah 3:12, I don't know where it mentions foxes. I don't understand this. The article continues, it says, this rabbi noted the prophet Isaiah linked the prophecy to Uriah to the prophecy of Zechariah, Zechariah, a prophet during the Second Temple period, which reads, they shall yet be elderly men and elderly women sitting in the streets of Jerusalem. Zechariah 8:4. Okay, I don't know how that has any connection. Okay. Until the prophecy of Uriah was fulfilled, I was afraid that the prophecy of Zechariah would not be fulfilled. Now that the prophecy of Uriah was fulfilled, it is evident that the prophecy of Zechariah remains valid. What? Okay, I'm going to read all of that again. What is this? Okay. Why? See, this is what happens when you read news articles. Okay. All right. I'm trying to follow this. Okay. So according to this rabbi, hey, we saw a fox. That is a fulfillment of Micah 3:12, even though no English translation anywhere I can find mentions foxes. Because foxes are found, even if foxes were mentioned, to me, the fulfillment would have occurred. Well, which destruction of the temple are we referring when Micah 3:12 is referring to? Well, if it's referring to the destruction in 70 AD, then that's when it was fulfilled. After the destruction in 70 AD, what happened to Jerusalem? What did it look like? What did the Temple Mount look like? Did it look like the description in Micah 3:12? That's the question we would have to have, right? Did it reach that level of destruction that would fulfill that prophecy? Right? I don't know why you would be looking for a future one unless you're looking for another destruction. Well, they think it was fulfilled because they went to the Temple Mount and saw a fox. Well, then that means they have to be saying that this is a reference to the condition of the temple after the destruction in 70 AD, because clearly they're not looking at the destruction of the first temple, because that one was so clearly they have to think that the temple was destroyed in 70 AD. They know that. That's just a historical fact, right? So then why would they be looking in 2023? Go, there's a fox. It's fulfilled. I don't even understand the logic. But not only that, Where are they getting the foxes from? Like, where are they getting that from? According to them, Micah 3:12, according to rabbinic tradition, it was a prophecy prophesied by Uriah and not Micah. Now, I'm gonna try to read this slowly to try to know to try to understand where they're going with this. Okay, according to this rabbi, that the prophet Isaiah linked the prophecy to Uriah to the prophecy of Zechariah, a prophet during the Second Temple period, which reads, "There shall yet be elderly men and elderly women sitting in the street of Jerusalem." I'm going to look at something really quick. I am trying to follow their logic here. I am really trying to follow their logic. It is bizarre, okay? They say that Zechariah 8:4. All right, thus saith the Lord of hosts, there shall yet old men and old women dwell in the streets of Jerusalem, and every man with his staff in his hand for very age. Okay, now, all right, so we have a fox. So supposedly, according to this rabbi, Micah 3:12 has supposedly been fulfilled. I'm not even understanding that logic. According to them, this was Uriah, not Micah. According to this rabbi, Isaiah linked the prophecy to Uriah. Let me read this again. This rabbi is claiming, noted that the prophet Isaiah linked the prophecy to Uriah, the prophecy of Zechariah, a prophet during the Second Temple period, which reads, then they quote this, "There shall yet be elderly men and elderly women sitting in the streets of Jerusalem," Zechariah 8:4. Then we have this paragraph. "Until the prophecy of Uriah was fulfilled, I was afraid that the prophecy of Zechariah would not be fulfilled. Now that the prophecy of Uriah was fulfilled, it is evident that the prophecy of Zechariah remains valid." I don't know what that even means. Then they go on to say, this isn't the first time in recent years that foxes have been spotted near the walls of the temple. In 2019, foxes were spotted near the Western Wall. At the time, the rabbi of the Western Wall and Holy Place stated that it was impossible not to cry at the sight of the fulfillment of the prophecy of foxes walked in it. And it was on the evening of Tisha B'Av. All right, so I guess every time Tisha B'Av happens, there's a fox. I guess. I don't understand. All right, here we go. We who were a rabbi's students remember how he consoled his friends when they saw the same image immediately after the destruction of the temple. May it be that just as we were privileged to see it with our own eyes and his friends, so we will be privileged to witness what this rabbi promised his friends soon in our time. Amen. I am perplexed beyond everything by the whole article. Obviously, there's no explanation. There's no anything. I don't get it. I don't get it. So So what we need to figure out is where is why, at least according to these rabbis, the fox anywhere near the Temple Mount is so significant that you should weep, that you should cry. And somehow that tells you the prophecy of Zechariah 8. Let me make sure I have the right reference here. Zechariah 8:4 is still in effect, or still valid, because the prophecy of Micah 3:12 has finally been fulfilled. I don't know when it was fulfilled, to 2023, 2018, 2019, all the different times a fox has been found at the Temple Mount. I don't. And you're telling me foxes have not been found there before 2018, 2019? I'm assuming they were found, I don't know, maybe after the destruction of 70 AD, maybe they roamed that area a lot, right? 71, 72, 75, 80, 90 AD, 100 AD, 200, 300, 400, 500 AD, 600 AD, 700 AD, 800, 900, 1000, 1100. I mean, you get the idea. I mean, that's a long time. From 70 AD to 20 anything, right? 2016, 2017. Like, you're telling me that the description in Micah 3:12 hadn't been fulfilled in the past? And somehow now we see a fox, so we cry and say, now Zechariah 8:4 now is still valid. I don't understand one thing in this news article. I don't understand. I literally don't understand. I'm missing something completely. And I'm more than willing to admit that I'm missing it, but I thought I would at least bring it to everyone's attention. So here's what I would challenge you to do today. Look up the dating for the writing of Micah, right? When was when was the book of Micah written? And so then how would you understand Micah 3:12? Would you understand Micah 3:12 pointing to the destruction of Jerusalem and the temple, and it would have to be pointing to the destruction that occurred in 70 AD? Or is it pointing to a different destruction? Is it 70 AD? Or is it the first destruction? If it's pointing to the destruction in 70 AD, then that scripture would have been fulfilled when, ladies and gentlemen? I would think somewhere near 70 AD. So why are we looking for any future fulfillment? And what does Micah 3:12 have to do with Zechariah 8:4? I don't even understand the correlation there. And where is the foxes coming from? What's the deal with the foxes? And even if you say, hey, foxes are going to be in the Temple Mount, even if you can make a textual, maybe, I don't know where they're quoting from, right? I mean, I don't know where they're quoting from, but clearly it's not carried over to one English translation on earth. It's not even carried over from a translation of the Septuagint. So I don't know where the foxes are coming from. But what is that? And how, I mean, I don't understand how you're handling scripture to arrive at these kind of bizarre conclusions. Hey, there's a fox. Everyone weep. This is a fulfillment of prophecy. And then you quote Micah 3:12, and you're like, well, if that's describing the destruction of the temple and the destruction of Jerusalem, I think that would point to the destruction that occurred in 70 AD. Meaning that everything described there would have been fulfilled somewhere close to 70 AD. If I was there with the rabbi, I'd be like, what are you talking about? Like, I am totally perplexed and confused. I don't know what else to say today. I'm going to just leave it there. I mean, today's focus is only supposed to be 15 minutes long anyway, so I've already gone longer than it is trying to work through all of that. I could have just said, hey, go look up the article and figure out yourself, but there you have it. So if you learned anything today, Tisha B'Av is the day that they remember the destruction of the two temples. Tisha B'Av. Right? If you look at the word, you probably would not know that that's how. What Tisha B'Av? I think maybe you would. Maybe you would. Tisha B'Av. I think you would. Maybe you would. I don't. When you look at it, it doesn't look that way. All right. But so if you didn't know that, that's what that day marks, is the destruction of the two temples. Some rabbis were there, walking along the southern wall of the Temple Mount. They see a fox. They're videotaping. Now, I'm assuming they're just videotaping their walk when then they see the fox. They clip it down to just show the fox running. They post it on social media. I think TikTok is the primary one. It goes viral. The Jerusalem Post picks up the story and go, hey, is this a fulfillment? Well, in fact, they say, fox spotted along wall of Temple Mount sparks talk of prophecy. That's how they say it. They didn't say it was a fulfillment. The rabbi is like, this is a fulfillment. Now, because Micah 3:12 has been fulfilled, Zechariah 8:4 is still valid. I don't even understand the correlation between that. I am perplexed at the entire article. But it made it, I mean, I found this article on a couple of news sites. I think a couple of news sites that gather news from lots of different sources. And I was just baffled by it. I was just like, how is this even a news story? And why did the video go viral? I don't even understand why the video would go viral. I don't get it. It's just a fox. It's just a fox. I don't get it. I'm just being honest. I don't get it. I don't get it. But hey, I mean, Theology Central. I'll try to keep my eyes open to anything related to theology or the Bible, and I don't know what to tell you. So look at today. What I want you to do is you can use your study Bible, Bible dictionary, any reference tools you have. Look up information about the book of Micah. Find out when it was written. Oh, I've got a book right here. I could give you the information right now, but I don't want to do that. And then look at Micah 3:12 and go, okay, based on the writing of this book, this is clearly a prophecy about the destruction of the temple coming in 70 AD. That temple was destroyed in 70 AD. Jerusalem was destroyed. So therefore, this was fulfilled. And then if you want, figure out what's the deal with foxes and Jewish prophecy about the Temple Mount. I mean, like, what is the deal with that? I would have to track down the origins of it. I just don't know where they're getting that from Micah 3:12. And even if there is some maybe Hebrew text or Hebrew manuscript that literally has foxes in it, I still would say it was fulfilled somewhere close to 70 AD. All right, you can email me, newsif@yahoo.com, newsif@yahoo.com. That's newsif@yahoo.com. I do apologize for kind of the rough start. When I first started this podcast, I thought I was going to lose my voice for a second. Right before we went live, I was thinking, I need to go downstairs and get some water really quick, but I decided not to. I hit the button to go live, and then as soon as I started talking, I'm like, whoo, I'm mispronouncing things because I'm thinking I'm getting ready to have a coughing fit. I think I mispronounced Jerusalem, Tisha B'Av. I don't even know what I said the first time. Tishba'av. I don't even know what I did. So I do apologize for that. But I was really thinking I was getting ready to have to mute the mic and have a 5-minute coughing fit, which would have then destroyed the whole thing. You can't have 5 minutes of dead air. That's like number one rule in broadcasting. Do not have dead air. And you don't want to just be coughing here. And if it's a quick cough, right, you can do this and then come right back. But it was going to be like, I thought I was getting ready to go like just start coughing for 15 minutes and, so. But we made it through it. It was rough. But hey, it's good. It's good. Because as rough as my trying to speak was, that's how rough that news article is when it comes to scripture, hermeneutics, Bible prophecy, logic, rationality. I don't even know what that is. How did that get published in the Jerusalem Post? Like, I don't understand that. Like, I don't even like, you would think the writer would have been like the editor would have looked at the article and going, okay, what does this even mean? Like, can you find someone to explain the possible correlation between Micah and Zechariah? Can you even explain how does Micah have to be fulfilled to keep Zechariah valid? Could you explain that? And hey, I don't know what you were doing your research and writing the paper, but I looked it up as your editor. Where are they getting the foxes from? Is that from a Hebrew manuscript? Where are they getting that from? Or maybe this is just such a common idea in the Jewish world that me as a Gentile from, the middle of nowhere, Texas, maybe I'm looking at this like, what is wrong with you people? But they in Jerusalem would be like, everyone knows about the fox prophecy. What is wrong with you? Everyone knows this. And I'm here in Texas going, I don't understand. Just like people coming to Texas and I'm like, how do you not know about chupacabras? I mean, come on, right? I mean, there's always things that are very much a part of that region, that culture. So maybe this is some kind of regional cultural thing that it's just foreign to me. I've never in all of my years of theological education, it's never been like, okay, look, here's the deal. If you ever visit Jerusalem, be on the lookout for a fox. Because if you see a fox, dun, 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 Micah 3:12 is fulfilled. And I'm like, I've never heard anything like that. All right, email me, newsif@yahoo.com, newsif@yahoo.com. That's newsif@yahoo.com. We'll be doing more broadcasting today after I've drinking some water, and I think I can speak more clearly. And hopefully improve being maybe, 5% more articulate, maybe. I mean, come on, don't get your hopes too high, but let's see what we can do. All right, we'll be back on the air sometime later today. Thanks for listening. Everyone, have a great day. And that is your today's focus. I almost forgot that it's a today's focus episode. That is your today's focus for Saturday, July the 29th, 2023.